Bonus Banter by BuildingWell.
I'm picturing your dog like having this like secret nemesis at night that you don't know about. Like if it were like a movie and the dog was talking, you know what I mean?
Welcome to the latest and greatest episode of Bonus Banter by BuildingWell. This is following episode 6 with Christian Glosner. Alina and I thought it would be nice to take a few minutes after each podcast episode and just reflect and talk about what we learned and what surprised us and what was interesting. We hope you enjoy this additional bonus episode.
We gotta banter fast because of lunch.
I am quite hungry. So I'm terrified.
I feel afraid. I just told our colleague Barbara that I am thoroughly afraid of my house. Not that that's what I want listeners to come across. We'll have to do a follow-on episode about actions you can take.
Reasons to be less afraid.
Yeah, how to be less afraid in your own house.
It's just, I think I mentioned it in the podcast, but the sheer volume of things that go into building and decorating and furnishing a home that have something that's bad for you, right? Like a VOC or some sort of chemical or, I don't know, something that's bad for you. It's a full-time job to have to research all this stuff, which, to be fair, is Kristen's full-time job.
Yeah. It just makes me wish that I could trust that what I'm buying for my house is safe.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that would ever become the case, but...
Right. We talked about like spray foam and things like that where they may have to list the ingredients, but what about a carpet? What about a couch or a pillow? Like, they don't have to do that.
And the average person doesn't know what those ingredients even mean.
Right.
And who has time to research.
Right. And they can change it to look nicer too. Like, they can change the name so it sounds less scary.
Yeah. It feels a little daunting.
It feels a lot daunting. Huh.
We're a little speechless, I think.
I think so. Unlike the other conversations we've had, I feel like there's not one thing that you can do to help yourself with this, right? It's more like if you're planning on making a purchase or doing a renovation or even just like new paint or something, you just research it.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's a lot of work, but that seems like the one call for action that we can all do for everything.
Yeah. Or if you're a multifamily property owner or property manager, it's making choices that are good for your residents. Or if it's new construction, getting the WELL certification or one of the green building certifications that includes some of these items as part of the criteria.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or if you're going for a non-specifically health-related certification like LEED, maybe look at the points you can get for the health portion of it. Maybe that's the path you can go down with that building is get those LEED points.
Yeah.
If people that live in the building are sick, then there's no building. We need the people. They're the number one concern.
Mm-hmm. The other thing we didn't really get into is the equity impacts of substandard housing is often lived in by people who also have a harder time affording good health insurance. And there's like a bigger implication there too of health impacts for people who are also vulnerable to medical cost issues. So there's another piece there that we could explore at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked on at least the last 2 episodes with Marty and Pat about decarb and with Charlie and Neil about hot water, that public housing in general are usually older buildings that haven't had a lot of money poured into them over the years. They're maybe in disrepair or maybe they're just old and aging. Mm-hmm. Like you said, that's the most vulnerable populations.
Yeah, especially elderly infants, new moms, like we talked about a lot of that. That's pretty vulnerable populations as well.
Absolutely. Just to paraphrase something that Ed said on our first episode, it's like using that old colony case study as an example. If we can make these improvements, there's a huge difference. We talked about the 47% less instances of sick building syndrome symptoms, less instances of asthma-related symptoms, stuff like that. And if that's, if your child's asthma symptoms are being reduced, that's helping families. It helps parents and it helps the kids. It helps the teachers, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's a big impact.
Well, that was a light and breezy conversation.
Nice and light.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the next one we can... Actually, never mind. The next one we're going to talk about climate change.
We're not in this to be sugarcoating, folks.
Nope.
All right. Well, it was really interesting, and even though I am now scared, I learned so much from Kristen.
I do too. All right, see you on the next.
All right, see ya.